Hi, I'm Pigg with Vettec, and you're watching 2 Minutes with Tab. What we've got here today is we've got this yearling Palomino reining horse. She's got some conformational issues in her front legs. You can see that she's a little inside on the knee. The knee's inside the foot. She lands really hard on this lateral toe. We're going to take a look and watch her walk. But what we're going to do today is kind of a non-committal thing. What I want to try to do with her, and Pat's going to work with us on this, is before we go in and trim this foot, we're going to glue some things on to see if we can get her landing more flat and kind of take some of that twist out. A lot of people just run in there with their nippers and their ass and go at the foot trying to get it all taken off and trying to correct it that way. We're looking at it from the respect that let's find out what it's going to take to fix it before we go in and try to fix it. So we're going to spend a little time going over back and forth with this horse to find out where her foot actually needs to be before we commit to a trim or shoot. Okay, as this horse comes towards you, you can see that she's landing real hard on both front feet on the outside of her foot. So that right front foot lands toe first, toe first, toe first. So she's hitting the outside toe and rolling back on her medial heel. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue a wedge pad, or a piece of a wedge pad on the inside of that foot to see if we can get her landing a little flatter.
All right, we're basically going to just apply this wedge pad that we've prepared. We drilled some holes in it, just a section of wedge pad, and that's to allow the material to come through the pad, and it'll help for the bond. And we're going to put a little bit of traction on the bottom of this when we finish it. So go ahead, Jacob. So we're going to place it right over this area right here. I'm going to let Jacob just put me some material here. Go fast. Okay, more on the foot and on the foot. Go. Give me some on top.
Come on, sweetie. So the super fast that you used on that, it's got about a 30-second set. We need to hold that foot up for about 2 minutes. Is that okay? So what you're hoping to do with this being non-committal, we're just trying to sort out what's going on. What do you hope to find when you get her to walk on this?
Well, we can determine from this whether or not our trimming protocol will be to lower the medial toe or the lateral toe, and also how it's going to affect her landing as far as the heels. If we can keep her heels balanced and landing fairly evenly, we can keep the growth of this hoof capsule in order. When this filly first came in, she was almost sheared in her medial heel, and she's improved considerably since the initial trim. But this filly is approaching, she's probably about 18 months old now, and so she's getting to the point where whatever we've got done with her as far as our correction, it's going to be really important to keep this filly sound for the long term. And our goal is to keep her sound as long as we can, and to provide proper support underneath this bony column, because there are several factors involved: the deviation in her knee, the rotation that she's got, and then also the restriction she's had in her tendons.
So if you can't achieve this with just a trim, you're going to go ahead and maybe use the super fast to build that up to get what you want to achieve?
Yes. And
okay.
I want you to note how she shakes on this other leg. This filly 4 months ago was shaking extremely on both these front legs, so she's improved in that respect, and now we're continuing to work on the other situations that she's got. I'm just going to put this over it.
Maybe not.
My gloves are too sticky. Here. Okay, now give me one roll of tape right around the foot. Elastic on around the foot.
Yeah, I know. I understand.
The tape's not sticking that great. Okay, that's good. So we've raised that up pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
way
pretty
more
good
than you
now.
need to.
Way more than we need to, but that's all right. If you go too much with it, then you know whether or not you're going in the right direction. So,
You can see she's still winging in on that foot, but she's landing a lot flatter and landing a lot straighter. We're not sure what we're going to end up with on this. We're going to trim the other foot to see if we can open it up and get it away from the right front, because she's winging excessively bad, but she is landing a little bit flatter. So all Pat's going to do on this foot, since it's a relatively normal foot in the way it lands, I mean, it's not great, but it's a lot better than the right front. So he's just going to go in here, prep the foot up. He's going to trim it. He's going to really get aggressive on that medial toe and shorten it up, try to move that foot around and get it going back in a straight line with the leg. The heels are run forward on this horse. This is probably the second or third time this baby's been trimmed. So he's really going to get back in those heels and put them where they belong. So he's taking very little off that lateral side of the foot in the toe quarter, but knows how much more the heels have moved back just in trimming that little bit off. And I'm really surprised that she's got the damage on the medial side of this foot, because she's landing laterally. This little filly's just a world of problems, and we've got to sort out which one's the worst problem to start with and then work from there.
to me, Tab, when I see bruising in a foot like this,
Yeah.
this is evidence of a lot of stress on this hoof capsule. And in essence, I call this laminitis because it's inflammation in your lamella zone. And this mare, especially with added weight, is at a high risk for future problems, not only from the deviations, but from a bout of full-blown laminitis and maybe eventually even a founder case where she sinks or rotates. But you can see her entire foot is under a tremendous amount of stress from that bruising and the color that we have there in the lamella zone and through the sole of the foot.
And the sad part is she's only a year old.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nutrition plays a big part in this. So I'm going to leave as much bottom in this foot as I can. I'm going to trim her up, clean up the bars, but I'm going to leave her a lot of sole here because we see that this mare needs a lot of support.
Okay, you can see after Pat trimmed that left front foot, she's still landing a little bit laterally, but it's looking better. I mean, this is just how this baby's built. She's just going to have to grow up a little bit, cut back on the food source a little, and she might get better. Who knows? She's not winging as bad on that left front as she was, just with that little bit of a trim.
So in watching her move, we look at the coronary band and we see that she's jammed up on the medial side.
Right.
And we probably got too much material there.
Yep.
So we might approach this by just trimming her and just see how she is after a trim. If we need to add some
Yeah,
material.
you can probably catch it with the trim.
Right.
to achieve that half of that amount, but if not, we put a little super fast lift on there. And I definitely, with what she's got going on in her sole, she needs some sole support.
Agreed.
I mean,
with the bruising and staining she's got in the other sole and lamella.
So you know you're going to see it in that right front.
Right. But a big part of this is nutritionally and genetically influenced.
Yeah.
And with better nutrition, we can possibly get this thing to come around a lot quicker.
Yeah.